Why do I have to wear a little horse on a nice shirt or a little crocodile where I don't really care about horses, I don't really care about crocodile, but I'm a football soccer guy? Why no one has ever done this?
Welcome to Making Waves. I'm Fred Heim, and this is the show where we talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and the creators and how they are making an impact on their world.
So as you know, soccer, football is everything in Europe and outside of this country. That's the one and only game that you play when you're a kid. So of course I made it to the academy, to the pro level, had some knee issues, and was smart enough to continue my studies, my schooling, finish my bachelor, and then came to the US to get my MBA at the University of Kansas. Yes, believe it or not, in Kansas. The day after graduation, I moved to California, like everyone from Europe dreams about.
What made you think about taking that passion and finding a vehicle for it in, non-sports environments?
Well, first, because basically budget and the size of the competition, right? You can't really start from nothing, competing with Nike, Adidas, doing already all the stuff, the jerseys, the sweaters, the hoodies, the hats, all that stuff that I have a bunch as well, and everybody does. And so first and foremost was I can't really compete head to head with these guys because I'm no one with no budget, basically, number one. Number two was because all these products are already on the market, what's missing is, like I said, I want to look good. I love fashion as well, being from Europe. I just wanted to wear something that could still show you that I'm a soccer guy without wearing my dry fit jersey that stinks.
So this sounds like a little secret club almost. A secret club for the biggest sport in the world, right?
I want to walk into the room. Fred is there. He loves soccer. He sees the logo. The logo means everything. He knows I'm a soccer guy. Obviously, it's a panel of the old ball, right? And the number 10 is because the legend of the games have always been the number 10, to the point that now and they used to be like midfielders. So for US sports, think about the point guard or the quarterback, right? They were the quarterback or the point guard in the middle of the field, basically running the show. That's how it started. Now, even if they don't play that position, most of the time they're forward. Because they're the best in the team, they get the number 10. Like easy name. Mbappe is not a midfielder. He's number 10 for France, for example. And so as soon as you're like the guy in the team, you get the number 10. And as kids, when you're in a small team, you fight to get the number 10. That's how the name came about. And so the theory is that by wearing this, you're mimicking the class, the elegance, the sophistication. The saying is always like, they make it look so easy. That's the number 10.
Is that something that you've tried to embody in the brand, where you just said, make it look so easy?
My vision for this is not really to be Dolce Gabbana or Gucci. This is classic elegance. Like, you need a nice dress, white shirt, you need a nice sweater, things that are going to sustain the time. I love leather. I love rustic. I'm not really a fan of like a very modern look. Cold. For me, I need bricks. I need leather. I'm from north of France, which is basically like Belgium or England. And it's very like dim light, fireplace, leather couch, Chesterfield couch, and so on and so forth. So for me, the idea of the brand is we're not going to come out with like pink and purple in Los Angeles stuff, right? It's going to be always classic.
Your Instagram is full of these classic images of just these guys. Even if you don't know who they are, they look like James Bond personified.
What's not to like? You're fit, you're super fit, you play a game, you make a ton of money. Every kid wants to be that. And of course you want to look good. And so for me, it was always a given that why wouldn't you want to be like that? And because all these guys, even the coaches now that haven't played in 15, 20 years, you don't really see a guy that is not in a good shape. So if you're going to put nice clothes on the guy, they're going to look really good.
As a bootstrapping entrepreneur who's clearly passionate and knows the game, you decided to go luxury, high-end, upmarket, whatever you want to call it, which requires you to deliver on that value with best-in-class materials and manufacturers and all that. So talk to me about your journey to make that first shirt and how you decided on those qualities.
If you want it, you really got to go for it. Because if you're not thinking like this, every single day I could have stopped, basically. Every single day has another issue, basically, since the beginning. So you're trying to do that bootstrapping while in the US, but because of the brand positioning, it has to come from France or Italy, not from Asia, right? It has to come from like the best of the best in fashion, and it's between France and Italy, period. Being French, I decided to go with Italy. And I went through, I think, 3 or 4 factories in a year, going from they understand what you're asking them, they're sending you stuff and it looks completely different, to they don't understand what you're saying, so you have to communicate with them only by email, and they run it through a software to translate, and you have to answer in this example in this way, otherwise the software doesn't understand, so they can't answer to you, literally. And then after a month you have huge emails that it's a nightmare to finally get a few samples. I don't know if you mentioned this before, but all of this was 6, 8, 10 months before COVID started. And as you remember, Italy was like pretty much the center in Europe of the COVID pandemic at the beginning. So as we were getting very close to developing something, boom, the pandemic happens in Italy, everything is shut down. So you lose basically 6, 7 months. You come back in the summer and, you know, even though they were closed for 8 months, well, it's still August in Europe, so we're going to take August off. So we'll talk to you in September, basically, right? And so on and so forth. I mean, literally, finally, we were able to get connected to one guy who's a consultant in Milan, who connected us to a factory that does a lot of the shirt for Armani, basically. And that's how we were able to manufacture the first order. So along the way in my career, meeting Fred, meeting other guys, I was able to meet 3 guys that have been very, very helpful to me in this dream. Used to manage the big brands like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Umbro, and another gentleman that I met that is an angel investor / advisor. All of them essentially have told me since day one, burn the ship. The famous story. So my answer is, I burned the ship a long time ago. I burned the remaining of the ships, and I'm continuing to burn the remaining of the ships. And so, you know me, it's, for me, there's no other issue than to making it. Not just because I put everything into it, but also because it was my dream. One of my dreams was to come to the US. I did it. I have to do this. The only thing I would change would be to start 20 years earlier, not to do it, but to change and do it when I was in my 30 or 25. But I think it's just life happened like this. But yes, bootstrapping 1000%, every penny goes into it, doing everything basically.
Do you find that as you got a little gray hair like me, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that the
just
pressure,
like George Clooney, that's what I said. Just like
we're
George.
Distinguished now.
Just call me George.
So do you find that the fire in your belly, that entrepreneurial drive, do you find that that is it maybe burns hotter now than it did when you were younger? The pressure to succeed is more, or would you say it's about the same as it was when you were younger?
No, I think that it's way more now because I know the work that I've put in. I know the money I've put in. I know how much I've bothered, quote unquote, people to help me. And so the pressure is even more. When you're 18, you think, oh, yeah, I'll just do this and it's easy, but you don't really understand. You don't really realize what's behind all of that. And so you know this, but it's, like I said, it is so difficult unless you have a fire inside. There's no way you can make it.
You've had this idea for how long, do you think? Before you launched it, like when did you first start thinking about 10
30
Legend?
years. 30 years
30
ago.
years.
Yeah.
So that meant when you were 10 years old.
No, when I was, I'm almost 50. When I was like 18, 17, 18, I got the idea. And then it was just always in the back of my mind. After soccer playing, the goal was to come to the US. And this was always in the back of my mind. Life happened. I got married. I got kids. Long story short, nothing really happened until 5-6 years ago when I designed the logo, really. And 3 years ago when I said, okay, after I got divorced, and it's like, let's go now. Let's go. Nothing to lose. And talking to these guys, burn the ships. Okay. There's no return, basically. Also, at the beginning, it's funny, I think about this now, but also at the beginning, I was worried that, hey, I don't want to tell Nike, Adidas, right? Because they could just do it. But a lot of my advisors' conversation told me, like, for them, it's peanuts. So you're not even on the map, and it's a niche market that they don't really care about. So don't worry about it. Okay.
Someone could argue that, well, sure, you picked a niche market, but it's a niche market that, how maybe it's too niche.
I was going to say 47% of the world population loves football. Out of the 47%, you take another cut for like middle to upper class. You still have probably 20% of the world population in love with football, with a mean to be there. And all I'm saying is, instead of wearing a little horse because you love the game, you wear the number that all the legends have been wearing.
Let's talk about some of the success that you've had, because I have been watching your Instagram. I have seen, it's like you are the ESPN guy. Like, how did you do? First of all, tell me about some of the people that have been wearing 10 Legend, and how did you do that?
How it's this, the simple answer is this. The phone from Chicago, but it's really me, have been able to connect with journalists from France, England, Italy, Spain, and the US. Somehow I got connected to 2 French players who won the World Cup, literally, for France in 1998. So they are like gods in France. No, anybody in my target market would know them. Somehow they became aware of 10 Legend. We started chit-chatting, basically. And of course, one thing leading to another. I had a conversation with Franck Leboeuf, who won the World Cup for France, but also played for Chelsea for 5-6 years. And the guy is on ESPN FC in England, but also in the US. And others. Somehow, some way, the main guy at ESPN FC, the host, saw them wearing the shirts or wearing the polo, loved it. They asked me to send him a shirt. I sent him the shirt, never heard from the guy, was kind of pissed, to be honest. And 3 weeks later, some of my buddies on WhatsApp group for soccer players in Chicago, where I played for fun now, start texting me on a Friday afternoon late. Tom, you need to watch ESPN. You need to watch ESPN. They're talking about you. And so I put ESPN FC, and there's the picture of a guy with my shirt, 10 Legend shirt, full blown on ESPN. And they're making fun of a guy because he's kind of like posing like a model. And so it's like the mood of the show is like fun. So they make fun of a guy with LeBeouf, with a French journalist that connected me as well. And for 3, 4, 5 minutes, they're talking about the shirt. And at the end, the world champion says he spoke to me and this is how it happened and blah, blah, blah. And he says the name. And so on ESPN FC on a Friday, 5 p.m. Yeah. For free. I mean, the cost of a few shirts. And so now we're getting ready for the World Cup in Qatar in 2 weeks. And all these guys have our polo because, of course, it's going to be 75 or 80 degrees there. But the product, basically, if you go to our website under the product, some of them are not available yet, but that's the roadmap. That's what we'd like to have as a base. When I launch, I really don't want to have just one product and look like, you're just selling a hat and it's cool for the summer and that's it. I want it to look like a real brand. And actually, I got a lot of people telling me like they thought this was huge when literally we didn't even have product and it was just a website and the following base on social media.
So what's next for TENLEGEND? You mentioned that the World Cup is coming up here.
2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
But are you looking for investors? Are you going to continue to bootstrap? What's your thinking behind that?
Again, people always ask me like, hey, with your contacts, why don't you call Beckham or Zidane and stuff like that? And my answer is always, yes, I can, literally with 2 phone calls from my advisor. But I don't really want to, because I don't want to give them 90% of the company because we're so small. And so I don't want that. I'm okay with like the 2nd or 3rd tier famous guys helping to grow to be at the right point, basically. Everyone has been telling me you've done an amazing job on the branding. You've done an amazing job on the product. One of the advisors, the older gentleman, told me many times, you need to wow people because of the price point and because you're nobody. When the guy gets the box and he opens the box, he needs to go, wow. And so that's why it took so long also for us to really develop the first product, because I really, really, really wanted the wow. And so we spent a long time on the product, as I described, but also on the packaging. And so I guarantee you, when people get the box and open it, we have never heard anything but, wow, this is unbelievable.
Talk me through the unboxing process. What is that experience like that you've designed for your customers?
So the box is very thick, very elite, black on black. I was just in love with that look. On the inside of the lid is essentially the drawing from the FA in England of a soccer pitch with the dimensions, with everything explained. And so, because for me, it's like, we want to make sure that we keep that connection with the game. That's our difference. That's who we are. Side note, on the white shirt also, there's a quote on the inside talking about football and the game. So the packaging is very heavy. It was made for me. It was made so that you keep the box. You just don't throw it away. You keep the box. You put whatever you want. And I've had several influencers telling me like, I love the box. It's on my desk. I'm keeping it.
Tom, tell us about your website. Where do people find you? How do they follow you on social media? All that good stuff.
Easy. The website is tenlegend.com, all spelled out, TENlegend.com. On social media, if you just type on the search bar TENLEGEND, we're coming up at the top. Mostly on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter a little bit, YouTube, we're starting, and Pinterest. And we just launched the TikTok, but there's only a few videos.
Tom, thank you so much for getting under the hood and sharing the trials and tribulations at TENLEGEND and the successes. Sounds great. We're heading into World Cup year. So
we have a newsletter also. If you just sign up for the email, you're getting the newsletter once or twice a week. We have articles. Right now, of course, we're doing the top 10 World Cup moments.
Tom, thanks again for being on, and I wish you well and the best, and keep winning.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks,
Tom. Have a great day.
Bye.